We got this Husqvarna propelled push mower for $50 and sold it within 2 hours for $225. Let's see how we did it. Hey guys, Octane Restorations. Today we have a Husqvarna self-propelled all-wheel drive push lawnmower. Now these mowers new were like $1,300 and we got it for $50. The person said that the transmission, the propelled action wasn't working. So we're going to go ahead, dive into that and diagnose it. Hopefully it doesn't need any pulleys or belts or anything. Whenever we got it, it was not engaging at all. But it does have some problems, as you can see later. All in all, it's in decent shape. We are going to pressure wash the bottom of the deck. As you can see, it's, pretty dirty, pretty bad shape. Blade still has some metal on it, so we're just going to sharpen that later, as you saw in the beginning. But we're going to be able to make a nice little profit off of this thing. The transmission originally wasn't engaging, but the cable that connects your drive to the handle lever, I loosened that out a little bit, which stretches the cable. So, you don't have to push the lever and engage it more, and I was able to get the transmission to engage. But there was a reason causing this, as you're going to see later. Now, I did do a video, just the time lapse and just the sound of me fixing this mower. That's also on my channel. It's just got the full thing, no narration. So if you're interested in just watching that, it's just the sound of the tools, no narration, then you can go ahead and check that out. But this is a kind of a play-by-play of us fixing it. So your lawnmower has that self-propelled drive cable that whenever you pull down on the lever, it stretches it, and there's pulleys inside there that get stretched, and then there's a belt that the belt engages the wheels. It's a pretty quick explanation of how it works. Sometimes over time the cables will stretch out, and so you have to make minor adjustments and take the slack out of them. That's exactly what I did here. I just kept backing it out until the wheel started moving, but it was making that horrible grinding noise. So that's what I was talking about, that we are going to have to diagnose after we clean this deck. There's a lot of pulleys and everything, and the belts are under this black cover underneath the deck. So that's another reason that I was going to wash the deck, just so I could access that, but we ended up solving the problem without taking this off. So stay tuned for that. And if you like the videos of narration, leave a comment, let me know, or if you just like me to shut up and you just want to listen to the the tools and the pressure washer and everything else like that, just let me know. Normally I don't buy push mowers. Riding lawnmowers I may pay 50 to 100 bucks for. But normally with push mowers like this one, the profit's just not there. But in my area, there was hardly any propelled push mowers for sale. Went on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, just trying to see the market, what I could pay if I was going to pay anything for this one. And there were some on there for 200, 250, 300 bucks. So I figured if I could get this one, take a little bit of a gamble, and if I could get it working for pretty cheap, then it'd be worth it. And it ended up paying off, it was just Just a little problem, as you'll see later, that we were able to fix without having to buy anything for it. I went ahead and gave it a little tune-up. Checked the oil, blew out the air filter, sharpened the blades, cleaned it, so that way it'd be ready for the next person. But it runs great. I didn't have to touch the carburetor at all, which was pretty surprising. But, you know, again, normally I just wouldn't buy these. It's not worth the time to mess with them, but for the price, this one, and it was a name brand, it was a Husqvarna. If it was an off-brand, I probably wouldn't have messed with it, but if it was like a Husqvarna, Toro, Honda, you know, then one of those I might buy. But we're also going to blow out the bag right here, just because the bag's pretty dirty and we want to get it in good shape. I'm using an electric pressure washer, so the PSI is lower. I think this one maxes out at about 1800 PSI. And for the metal, I was using the turbo nozzle. It has a little bit of an oscillating action, but right here I'm just using a wide angle pressure washer tip. So that way I don't mess up any of the cloth. And as you can see, a lot of dirt is coming out of it. Then we're going to set this aside to dry. You ready for the big reveal? Quick, leave it in the comments. What do you think it is? Any guesses right now? And there it is. Rocks. Rocks in the front wheel, since this one's all-wheel drive. The rocks were causing it to bind and it was not able to turn, so the belt was slipping. That's why whenever I got all the slack out of the cable, it was able to turn, but it was making that terrible grinding noise. But whenever we took the rocks out, we also lubricated the gears, and then we were able to put a little slack back in the cable. But again, this is just grease that I'm applying to the gears. Those rocks actually didn't do as much damage to the plastic as I would have thought they would have done. But I'm not having to replace the transmission, belts, pulleys, anything like that. So life is good. We're going to go ahead and check the other side. Just make sure there aren't rocks on it, and then we're also going to go ahead and lubricate it. And then we're going to test it. We've got some pretty vicious turkeys, as you can hear them gobbling in the background. They're trying to add into this video. I promise they're not paid actors. But while we've got this wheel off, again, we've got that grease. We're just going to apply some grease to the splines of the gears. It's just metal on metal contact. You probably don't have to, but anytime there's metal on metal contact, I just like to have a little bit of lubrication. The engine's running great, the blades are spinning, and the transmission's engaging exactly as it should be. So we got that problem sorted. So now all that's left is to give it a nice little tune-up. Since it's running so well, we're not going to be messing with the carburetor or anything. Just because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That doesn't apply to routine general maintenance, but at this point, you know, there's no reason for us to take the carburetor off. We don't have to take those pulleys or anything off now, just because we figured out what that noise was, and now that grinding noise is gone. We're going to hit it with some of my favorite spray stuff. It's called Easy Shine. It's by Superior Products. You can get a gallon of it for like 24 bucks. This is diluted 1-to-1. I love it. It's spray on, wipe off, and it also reduces the static. It's pretty similar to Bead Maker, if any of y'all detailing guys have ever used Bead Maker. But I like it because it reduces static. And I don't want to use a heavy coating, something like a thick wax, on a lawnmower just because it'll attract a lot of dust, or like a thick dressing. But this is a spray on, wipe off, and it really does give it a nice glossy shine. So next we're going to sharpen the blades. Normally if this was my mower and I knew I was going to be using it for the whole season, I'd go ahead and replace the blades. But the next person, you know, I might put a new blade on and the next person wants a mulching blade. So I'm just going to go ahead and sharpen this one since it does have some meat left. As you can see, there's a lot of chips in there. You also want to balance your blades too. I got this little plastic balancer that the middle of the blade sits on. I think I paid $5 for it, $6 for it. That angle that is on the blade, you also want to maintain that angle. If you need to measure how wide it is with a ruler, you can do that. Or you can just, you know, guess. But right here, I'm just following the angle of the blade, the contour, and I'm just working it until I get all those chips out. You don't want to stay in one spot too long, otherwise you can overheat the blade and you can change the temper. Right now I'm just getting some of those chips out. You don't want the ends flat, but you also don't want them like razor sharp. If you hit a rock, it'll put a pretty big chip in it. If you're pretty worried about it, go to Home Depot and just look at the lawnmower blade so you can kind of see how much they have left on there, the thickness of the angle. You also might have burrs on the bottom after you're done. So you just take the grinder and you just go over the bottom of it just to get those burrs so it doesn't hang on to anything. I'll kind of show you the blade right here. So as you can see, I tried to keep that same angle all the way down. And again, there's it next to the old one. So we got a lot of chips out. And we're just going to do that same process on this. And remember, after you sharpen it, especially if you're using a grinder, the blade needs to be balanced. It can cause excessive vibrations, and it can also cause damage if it's really out of balance. Grinders can take off a lot of material quickly, so it's easy for the balance of the blade to get away from you. But again, right here, I'm just getting some chips out, and then I'm regrinding that angle on it. Right here I'm checking for thickness, just to make sure it's got an even profile all the way through and it's not too thick in places where it's not going to cut. Now I'm getting rid of those burrs on the bottom that I told you about. You'll be able to feel it whenever you sharpen a blade. Your fingers will hang on to a certain place, and then you just gotta, you know, knock the burrs off. Just getting one or two final passes, and then balance it at this point, and you'll be done. If it's balanced, of course. As you can see, we got a good even profile on both sides. Installation is just a reverse of the removal. I didn't get it on camera, but I did check the oil, and the oil was actually pretty new looking. It wasn't black, it was still kind of golden color, didn't have any shavings or big debris in it. So now I'm just going to blow out the air filter too. I do apologize for the wind noise. It's pretty windy where I'm from. But the exhaust is cold, as you can see here. I just wanted to show y'all a cold start and how it runs. Now the breakdown, we ended up buying this mower for around $50 and we sold it for $225. This is the Facebook Marketplace ad. Tried to take some really good pictures of it, cleaned it up. This is the description. It's kind of like an old man description. I'll let you pause and read it, but I got a lot of hits off of it. And as you can see right here, these are all the messages I got from it. There's one page and then there's another. I had about 4 or 5 screenshots of just pages full of people wanting to get it. So it sold really quick. It sold that day actually. This is one of the filters I used. I've got an iPhone 11 that I take all the photos on, and then I use the HDR filters. It's just basically increasing the contrast so that the colors pop a little bit. Tried to get it on a neutral background. We made $175 on this build. Took us, about 2 hours. So I know you're averaging around the $80 an hour range. And one last thing, I did not mislead anyone in the description, and I never would. If anyone would ask me any questions about this mower, I would have been honest about it. That's just how we operate business. If they asked me how long I had it, I would have told them that I had just bought it. I would never lie in the ad description just because it'll come back and bite you in the butt. But that's all I got today. Thanks for watching. This is Octane Restorations. This is a Husqvarna all-wheel drive self-propelled push mower that we just got done rebuilding. If you enjoy this content, consider liking and subscribing, and you have a good rest of your day.